Hey guys, today I'm bringing you a tutorial on how to change the valve cover and PVC valve on a 2012 Chevy Cruze. This is the 1.4 liter turbocharged model, the Ecotec, and these cars are known to have the PVC valve seal rupture, and you start having problems from accelerations. You start giving codes all over the place. If you got into this video, I'm pretty sure you've done your research, but this here tutorial is going to show you how to take the valve cover off, all the components, and all in all, this job is pretty easy. You can do it yourself. There's no need to pay for somebody to do it because it is so simple, and you could actually do it. I did it within, I'll say, about 20 to 25 minutes. I'm going to show you all the tools you need to take it apart and everything you're going to need for the job, which is not a lot. So let's begin. The cover you see on the top, it says Ecotec. It's right in the center, the left side of the top of the valve cover. From each corner, and just pull it off. It comes off relatively easy. After that, you're going to want to take off the oil cap and the dipstick. So just unscrew the oil cap and pull out the dipstick, put them aside. You don't want to lose these parts. The valve cover already brings its seals, so set them all aside for now. Next, you're going to want to unclip all the hoses and wires that go around the exterior of the valve cover. The valve cover holds these in place, so the engine moves, they don't just be wiggling around. To just snap them out or just pull them out, and it's as simple as that. On the right side, the two clips are going to have to be pulled out directly up, and on the back of the valve cover, they're just fastened in there. All you got to do is pull them up as well. Just pull them. They're not going to have too much wiggle room, so you just put them a little bit to the side and should be enough to get them out of the way. Next, you're going to want to take off the injector coil. The way you do this is, first you unplug it, take out the little orange clip, pull it out, then push down the button and pull out the entire socket. It should come out easy. If you need it, if it's a little tight because of corrosion or wear, just get a small plastic screwdriver or just a screwdriver and wiggle it from the tip. Don't pull it by force by the cables, because you have the chance of snapping those cables. So make sure you pull it by the base. So next is the two screws on top of the injector coil, and these are, you're gonna actually need a T30 head on the screwdriver for it to be loosened. Here's a picture of the T30. Twist it counterclockwise position and they'll come out. They're really long. When they come out, just put them aside. You don't want to lose these. This is the only thing holding the ignition coil in there. Next, just pull out the entire ignition coil from both sides, just like the valve cover. Push it up out of the engine and they'll come out. I had to replace it. As you can see, it's new. The reason why I had to replace it was because the ignition coils were so corroded from the heat that when I pulled it out, they actually just snapped off. And so the ignition coil is about $180 to $200, depending on where you're at. The next thing we're gonna need to do is we're gonna need a socket, 8mm socket, to take out the rest of the bolts that are on the valve cover itself, which are surrounded there. You can see them lit up. You're gonna need a socket and a wrench to do this. These shouldn't be held with too much pressure. You're not gonna need a torque wrench. Hand pressure will do just fine. Once you take these screws out, they're gonna stay on the valve cover because they have like a washer on the bottom that holds them in place. But once they're loose enough to go up and down, then you know that you can stop unscrewing it. Okay, so once all these screws are loose, you're gonna have to wiggle the valve cover out of there. My valve cover melted onto the the top of the engine itself, so I had to hit it a little bit with a plastic screwdriver with a plastic tip on the side of it, not on the engine itself, but on the side of the valve cover to loosen it up, and then I just pulled the whole thing out. Once the valve cover is out, it should look just how it does on the illustration right here, and you're gonna see the edges of the head kind of have a little bit of oil, even dried oil around it. That's from where it was being basically accumulated with the seal. So what you're gonna need to do is clean it with a cloth or a paper towel, something strong. Clean it out. Once it's clean, if you have any debris that is actually on the head itself and it's not coming off as easy, you can use some alcohol to basically clean it out. So once the surface is clean, then you're ready to put the new valve cover on. Once you put the new valve cover on, just make sure it's lined up with the head itself. Everything is lined up together. Then by hand, twist clockwise the screws until you feel them that they go in. You don't want to screw these things on with a screwdriver or a drill, because if you hit that thread wrong, you could mess up the thread on the head itself. You don't want to do that. So hand tighten them. Once they're hand tightened, then you get the screwdriver or the wrench and continue to put it down. Once it's tight, you don't need to torque this. There's some torque specifications online, maybe, if you might want to do it, but for me, I just did a strong strong clockwise turn, about an inch, maybe 2, until it was secure. Then I continued on to the rest. After the valve cover is secure and all the screws are on as tight as your hand could turn them, then you put the injector coil back on, put the 2 screws of the injector coil with the T30, and then reconnect the injector coil socket wires. After those wires are reconnected, orange clip that is on the ignition wires back into the lock position. Then once the dipstick and valve covers are securely tightened, then you turn on the car. Don't put the engine cover back on yet. You want to make sure this PVC valve you bought isn't leaking as well. Turn on the vehicle, leave it on for a good 10 minutes. Once the engine is turned on, feel if it has a leak on the seal by covering that little hole. If you don't see any strong vacuum coming out of there, then your new PVC valve is working perfectly. The engine should be revving normally. It shouldn't be stuttering, fluttering, or anything like that. You will still have to reset the codes with a scanner or disconnect the negative on the battery to reset the computer. Once you see all this is working perfectly, get a flashlight, or if you have adequate lighting where you're at, and go around the entire valve cover to make sure there's no leak. Once you see everything's fine, you put the valve cover cap back on, the one that says Ecotech. Put it back on, and that's it. You're good to go. I hope this tutorial has helped you guys with fixing it. If you guys have any questions regarding this, just go ahead and message me. Put it on the comments. I'll answer as fast as I can. And subscribe for more do-it-yourself tutorials coming soon. Thank you guys.